on the Bible in the light of history and science, he says in his book that there are two types of approaches. One is a concordance approach, which means a person tries to bring a compatibility between the scripture and science. And the other is the conflict approach, in which a person tries to bring a conflict between scripture and science, like how Dr. William Campbell has done very well. But as far as the Quran is concerned, irrespective whether a person uses a conflicting approach or a concordance approach, as long as you're logical, and after a logical explanation is given to you, not a single person will be able to prove a single verse of the Quran in conflict with established modern science. Dr. William Campbell has pointed out various alleged scientific errors in the Quran, and I'm supposed to actually refute in the rebuttal, but since he chose to speak first, I will be refuting a few points in my talk. I will reply to the major part of his talk, mainly dealing with embryology and with geology. The remaining, inshallah, I will try my level best to reply in the rebuttal. I have to do both. I can't do injustice to the topic. The topic is Quran and Bible in the light of science. I can't only speak about one scripture. Dr. William Campbell hardly spoke about one or two points about the Bible, which I shall deal with, inshallah. I will speak about both, inshallah. I want to do justice to the topic. As far as Quran and modern science is concerned, in the field of astronomy, the scientists, the astronomers, a few decades earlier, they described how the universe came into existence. They call it the Big Bang. And they said initially there was one primary nebula, which later on it separated with a Big Bang, which gave rise to galaxies, stars, sun, and the earth we live in. This information is given in a nutshell in the glorious Quran in Surah Anbiya, chapter 21, verse number 30, which says, Avalam yara lazina kafaru. Do not the unbelievers see anna samawati wal arda kanat ratkan mustaqnahuma, that the heaven and the earth were joined together and we clove them asunder. Imagine this information which they came to know recently, the Quran mentions 1400 years ago. When I was in school, I had learned that the sun, in respect to the earth, it was stationary. The earth and the moon, they rotated about the axis, but the sun was stationary. But when I read a verse of the Quran saying, in Surah Anbiya, chapter 21, verse number 33, it says, Huwa allazi khalaqa al-layla wan-nahara. It is Allah who has created the night and the day. Wash-shamsa wal-qamar, the sun and the moon. Kullun fi falaki yasbahun, each one traveling in orbit with its own motion. Now, alhamdulillah, modern science has confirmed the Quranic statement. The Arabic word used in the Quran is yasbahun, which describes the motion of a moving body. When it refers to a celestial body, it means it is rotating about its own axis. So Quran says the sun and the moon, they revolve as well as rotate about their own axis. Today we have come to know that the sun takes approximately 25 days to complete one rotation. It was Edwin Hubble who discovered that the universe is expanding. The Quran says in Surah Dhariyat, chapter 51, verse number 47, that we have created the expanding universe, the vastness of space. The Arabic word nosiona refers to vastness, the expanding universe. Regarding the topics on astronomy which Dr. William Campbell touched, I will deal in the rebuttal, inshallah. In the field of water cycle, Dr. William Campbell pointed out certain things. The Quran describes the water cycle in great detail. And Dr. William Campbell mentioned 4 stages. In his book, he mentions 4A and B. The last one he didn't mention in the slide, I don't know why. It says that replenishing the water table, he missed out here, maybe because it's not mentioned in the Bible. He said there is not a single verse in the Quran which speaks about evaporation. Quran says in Surah Tariq, chapter number 86, verse number 11, Rajus Sama, that by the capacity of the heavens to return And almost all the commentators of the Quran, they said that this verse of Surah Tariq, chapter 86, verse number 11, refers to the capacity of the heaven to return back rain, meaning evaporation. Dr. William Campbell, who knows Arabic, may say, why didn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala specifically mention وَالسَّمَاءِ ذَاتِ الْمَطَرِ, meaning the capacity of the heaven to return back rain? Why didn't Allah mention specifically? Now we have come to know why didn't Allah do that in His divine wisdom. Because today we have come to know that besides the ozonosphere, the layer above the earth, besides returning back rain, it even returns back other beneficial matter and energy of the earth which is required by the human beings. It does not only return back rain, today we have come to know it even returns back waves of telecommunication, of television, of radio, by which we can see TV, we can communicate, we can hear the radio. And besides that, it even returns back the harmful rays of the outer space, back on the other side, and absorbs. For example, the ultraviolet rays of the sunlight is absorbed by the ionosphere. If this was not done, life on the earth would have ceased to exist. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is far superior and far more accurate when it says, Raja Sama, by the capacity of the heaven to return. And the remaining things, as he mentioned, is there in the Quran. You can refer to my video cassette. The Quran describes the water cycle in great detail. Regarding what he said about the Bible, he showed stage 1 and stage 3 in the first slide. And the second, stage 1, 3, and then 2. That the rainwater is taken up, he says, and then the rainwater comes on the earth. This is the philosophy of phase of Miletus in 7th century BC. He thought that the spray of the ocean was picked up by